And hopefully I see, a great promise with Mexico. I see that, they brought us 29, including Rafael Caro Quintero.
Yep.
They brought him, RCQ.
How did you hear about the actual details behind the scenes like that?
So I talked to the former ICE director in Colorado, John Fabricatore. John is a great guy. So he ran for Congress in Colorado. Didn't win, but he works with the Heritage Group. He helps out the foundation and the Trump administration with their immigration issues as an advisor. And I've spoken to him, and he told me, and Danielle Jurinsky, who's a politician, this is her, Aurora is her district in Colorado. I've spoken to her. So you hear the stories, but like I said, it's not going to get reported. So, and it's yesterday's news, so it really doesn't matter anymore. But the current police chief, I believe he is doing a good job from what I understand. I see that they're cracking down.
So there's no more buildings that are run by those guys right now.
I don't know about that. I don't think that they're there because those are all scattered. So here's the crazy thing is Montana's got a big problem with TDA and cartels up there. In northeastern Montana, near the Canadian border, there were 3 individuals that were arrested. And it was drug-related offense. One of the 3 is from Aurora, Colorado. It was a Venezuelan from memory. So
small world. Yeah.
When the light gets shined, the cockroaches go in different directions. And I've spoken about this, and I'm saying, listen, I'm glad ICE has taken out 6 TDA members that were in Bozeman. There are 6 TDA members in Bozeman, in town in Montana, and those 3 in northeastern Montana. Great. I'm glad ICE is taking them out. But those aren't the 6 that I'm worried about. I'm worried about the 15, 20 others that are still there that no one knows about. There's a reason why those 6 moved there, okay? Because there's a network already built up. There's already a safe haven for them. So, and that's the criminal element where I was talking about earlier, that you need those 3 things. Until you get those 3 things, getting rid of 6 members, that's just a temporary fix. It's a good fix, but it's just temporary.
Yeah, what does their network look like in the United States? Like, what's their command structure?
I think that's yet to be determined. I think a lot of people, they have communications to Venezuela. They're using social media. They're using WhatsApp groups. They're using Telegram. They're using Signal to communicate with one another. And we know that there is clear command and structure. So the kidnappings may be done in South America where the ransom is being collected in the United States. So they're communicating. Whether there's a concerted effort by all TDA members across the country, I don't think it's there. I think that you have a lot of pockets of TDA members, but they're all, they're
almost like subsidiaries then.
Correct.
Okay.
They're almost franchised.
Yeah.
So, and you have 1 or 2 members who are hardcore, members that were trained in Venezuela, and then they'll have like 30 members, who are 12, 13, 14-year-olds who are in that district, that region. Now, whether that one individual is getting orders, I think that's yet still being worked out. I mean, that's still being investigated by, the Bureau, HSI, and, determine the exact, elements of it, because it really is, a new. And I try and stay away from calling them a gang, especially now that President Trump has designated them a terrorist organization.
Oh, they are too.
Mm-hmm. I think it's 6 cartels, MS-13, and TDA have been designated terrorist organizations. So, which I like. It opens up.
That?
I do. I do like it because it opens up a totally new type of, abilities for the investigators that, again, I'm a little bit jealous of them going, a whole branch, the national security branch, which was going after ISIS and Al-Qaeda, all those tools and all those, elements that they can use towards their investigation. Now, the guys that were working, they're working investigating TDA now is at their disposal. So they can use those tools to investigate TDA, MS-13 and things like that, and the cartels. And hopefully I see, a great promise with Mexico. I see that, they brought us 29, including Rafael Caro Quintero.
Yep.
They brought him, RCQ, and 28 other, cartel members that were wanted here in the United States. That's great. Now, whether we go kinetic and send troops into Mexico, I don't know. That's loaded.
That's the issue.
I think that we would be better off, hopefully we work with the Mexican authorities and, whether it be kind of like, hey, we have Green Berets or SEALs that are embedded in those units and providing them intelligence, providing them, hard intelligence like aircraft, drones. I think that would be a much better start, but just, going all out and just, sending SEAL Team 6 into an area where I think that's dangerous. I think that's a dangerous road we're going down.
Yeah, I just had Ed Calderon in here, and he was actually calling this years ago that this would probably happen. And since the second Trump administration came in, obviously that upped the chances, and then it did. But he seemed to have, like, what would you say, like mixed feelings on it, Alessi? Fair to say? Yeah. So when you declare something a terrorist organization, like, are you going to go at them with drone warfare like we do in the Middle East with certain ones of these organizations? And then you know how it was when any Al-Qaeda guys or ISIS cells were even slightly spotted in the United States. Like, it was like a full-blown, forget SWAT team, like fucking 12 levels above that. Think about how ingrained, like, 12, 13, and 14-year-olds who are just, like, running and doing pickpocketing in the United States are. It's like, how do you litigate that?
See, my question is, so you look at the definition of a terrorist group and I don't know the exact literal definition part of the U.S. Code is, but it is a group that's committing an act of violence on behalf of, their ideology, religious, whatever their ideology is. Mm-hmm. And it's in an effort to create terror in the victims, right? So right now you're looking at it as, okay, are the cartels doing that? Or are they just a business selling drugs, which is killing our youth, our people? Yes. Are they doing that here in the United States, committing acts of violence? I don't know if I would go that far. Is TDA doing that? Again, I don't know. Do we have the capacity to go there? Absolutely. And that's the dangerous part is, like, if we go kinetic into Mexico, I think the cartels have such a structure that they could go in that they start conducting attacks as retaliation for Mexico, acts in Mexico. We're not seeing subways blowing up. We're not seeing car bombs that the cartel, like they used to do in Colombia when, what's his name? In Medellin cartel, Pablo Escobar was doing car bombs and blowing up planes. That's terrorism, right? That's straight up terrorism. We're not seeing that. And maybe I'm not seeing something. And again, I don't, I never worked the cartels, but I think that's a dangerous route we're going down. But that's the world we have. And I wouldn't be opposed. I'm not saying, oh, we can't, peace, no, we need to, these guys, respond to, they're going to treat us with violence. If we have to respond with violence, and take them out. I think that there's again a dangerous route because there could be a lot of innocent people that are they embed themselves in their communities. Whereas these guys don't wear uniforms. I mean, CJNG, they do wear uniforms. A lot of their elite units do wear uniforms. But let's say we attack a village, where we know is a large drug stop. I mean, how do we know who is cartel versus who is? Again,
weird.
Right? It gets weird, and this is a conversation I'm totally open to having, saying, listen, convince me, and you're your other guest. Show me the different ways. Again, I wouldn't understand the different ways. So it's it's a different world. It's that we're dealing with now. And TDA, we know that they've conducted acts of terror in Chile. So about a year ago, I want to say it's about a year ago, there's a lieutenant in the Venezuelan army who fled Venezuela. He was opposed to the Maduro administration. He fled Venezuela, went to Chile, was hiding out there. TDA found him, kidnapped him, tortured him, and killed him. And,
so they're like real Maduro guys.
Right. That's what I'm saying is they are an arm of the Maduro administration, the TDA, the entire TDA branch. And that's why I think TDA is so dangerous, that with a flip of a switch, he could turn them on and become, initiate something. We know he's done that. Now, whether the TDA members in Chile directly received orders. I think that's what the investigation is still going on. But it got publicity in Chile. But he was against Maduro. He ends up getting kidnapped by TDA and tortured and killed. Yeah, put one and one together. I mean, it's obvious.
Yeah.
So they are a terrorist organization. The MS-13 is a terrorist organization in other countries. El Salvador has designated them a terrorist organization. We've charged MS-13 members here in the United States with terrorist charges, and TDA is, they've done acts of terror in other countries. So, I mean, I'm glad that they've done this designation because, especially with the cartels. But now my next question is, what about the other cartels? There's tons of cartels out there, Colombian, Venezuelan. Where's the line? Should we just do all cartels?
Who's the cliques?
Was that?
Who's the cliques?
Who's going to get the clicks?
Yeah. And that's what it sounds like. They pick the ones that the average person hears about. They pick the main Mexican cartels. They pick MS-13. They pick Tren de Aragua.
Yes.
And it's like because they can get attention on that. Whereas like people, when you say Colombian cartel, they're like, oh yeah, fucking 40 years ago. Yeah, nobody's talking
right. There's a cartel in Venezuela, Cartel del Sol, Cartel of the Sun.
Great name.
I know it is. It's very good.
Good branding.
Excellent. They're a big name cartel.
Yeah.
Why aren't they designated? Why aren't they a terrorist organization?
Do they work with Maduro?
I don't know. I'm assuming they do.
Thank you guys for checking out this clip. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the like button on this video. It is a huge, huge help. And if you'd like to check out this clip's full podcast episode, that link is in the description below or right here. And finally, you can follow me on Instagram and X by using the links in my description below.